That's somebody that's kind of like me.
She was loud and bold and weird.
Would she do it again?
Actually, this is the month that he died.
If it wasn't for him, then I wouldn't be here today.
What kept her going? What made him decide, okay, I want to take up all the world problems and solve them?
What was his whole thought process?
What made you do that?
So if you could meet any person from history, no matter what the era, no matter where it was, here today in historic Charleston, what would you say to that person within 24 seconds?
I would tell Lincoln, that'd probably next time bring some of your booze down here so we can try it out, because none of us never knew about you running those booze farms.
It'll be Genghis Khan. And I would ask him what led to his decision to conquer all these places and want to kill all these people while doing it. He could have just let things be instead of he just chose to keep conquering. Like, what was his motivation behind all the carnage?
Jesus Christ.
Okay. Go ahead, start.
Christ.
And what would you say to him?
I would say Maya Angelou. And the reason I would say her is because one of her famous quotes was "Run your own race." And I believe in that because there's so many people that are telling us that we should do this, that, and that, but we shouldn't. We should do what we're most comfortable with and live our lives according to our own truth.
He had 2 distills up. He was one of the only presidents that made his own booze. Had a liquor house too.
And what was it called?
That I don't know.
Marie Antoinette. There's no real reason. It's just the only name I could think of.
Let them eat cake, lady.
Let them eat cake, lady.
I would have to say Kurt Cobain.
Kurt Cobain?
Yes.
Good one.
I really like the band, and I'm actually learning how to play bass and guitar now, and those are the songs I'm playing, his songs.
My great-grandfather. He fought in World War II, World War I, and Korea. And basically, I wouldn't really ask him too many questions. I would just tell him how proud I am, is because if it wasn't for him, then I wouldn't be here today.
Know that was true, and you can go out there in Asia and like see like it's probably like mass graveyards like with just bones, hundreds of thousands of bones.
I would ask Walt Disney, what's the difference with Pluto and Goofy?
He was really crazy, but he was really sensible. Like, he had all the sense in the world, but he just like, he was a genius, but he was an evil genius.
Okay, so Pluto is a dog chained in the backyard, a brown dog chained in the backyard, can only bark, doesn't have any words in his language. Goofy's Mickey's best friend who talks English, drives a car, has a house, has a job, has a kid. And he's white, mostly. What's the difference? Is it racism?
Harriet Tubman, because she was a brave lady. She was black. She was powerful. She had a goal. She knew what she wanted, and she didn't stand for no mess.
I think it would be neat to meet Henry VIII.
6 wives, and why did he choose? What was his whole thought process?
He had conquered pretty much the whole world. Even if you asked for mercy, he didn't care.
His arrogance of he was above the church. He made himself his own church so that he could have another wife and kill the wives.
I would say Anne Boleyn.
What was she like?
Very loud, very outspoken, didn't really care what other people thought, got her into trouble. Of course, got her.
Yeah, why was her head cut off?
Because she was infidelity, but he also cheated on her. And she was a mistress, and that's kind of how they got together. So it was very messy.
That's hypocritical.
No, very hypocritical, but of the times, that's sort of what happened. But I like that she was loud and bold and weird.
And he was a great innovator in war. Especially with his bows, where the other traditional Chinese military, it was on 100 feet. He started the strong, the heavy bow to make the arrows go more than 200 feet, 300 feet.
The Wright brothers. That's what I'm gonna go with, because I was thinking inventors and whatnot, but I think the Wright brothers would be super cool to spend a day with, flying around in something, something crazy.
He was an innovator, and it was all about killing and conquering.
Are there any parallels in contemporary society with Henry VIII?
The first thing that strips my mind is Donald Trump.
Why Donald Trump?
The arrogance, the ego, yes, he's had 3 wives, right? Just above the law in a sense, right?
So that's how he was over overpowering other countries and shit that thought they was smarter than him because they thought they was Mongols. It's like, oh, dirty, stupid Mongols, but really, he was ahead of his time. Like, I wonder where he got all that information from. Like, what made him do all that?
Maybe George Washington. So, man, it's got to be fascinating for what that guy went through and saw and overcame and developed.
And that's what I want to know, like, what made you do that? That man was crazy as hell, man.
But what would you say to him if he literally walked up to you?
Maybe thanks.
Martin Luther King Jr., and I would ask him what really made him start the whole thing in the first place. Like, what made him choose, like, this to be his cause? I know he's like a minister, I understand all of that, but what made him decide, okay, I want to take up all the world problems and solve them?
Do you remember the moment when he passed away,
Yes,
finding out about
I
it?
was still living in Philadelphia at the time, and I just went rollerblading with my boyfriend, and we took a cab home, and then the cabbie was like, did you guys hear Kurt Cobain died? And I was like, no, I didn't believe him, so I went home and turned on MTV and saw it on MTV News.
Yeah, it's really sad.
It was sad. Actually, this is the month that he died.
Michael Jackson, because I also write music as well.
Wow.
And I did a lot of imitations of him when I was younger. Like, very inspiring. Not similar background, because I'm Native American and Irish, kind of mixed as well.
Huh.
So that's the reason why I felt him very interesting, because I was like, oh, that's somebody that's kind of like me. You know, I was a dancer when I was younger as well, and I still write music to this day, and I just found it very inspirational. Even the way he used to write his music, mine's very similar as well.
It would be St. Frances Cabrini. She is an Italian-American religious sister or figure that opened orphanages all around the world, that helped with the children who came from Italy. And I would talk to her about how difficult it must have been being a woman back in those days doing such incredible work.
I would probably want to talk to like an activist from like the women's rights movement, like Audre Lorde or somebody like
Gloria
that.
Steinem, someone like this?
Like anybody that had such powerful impact on like women's rights.
And what would you say to them?
Say, look where we are now. We're fighting again, but we're still moving.
I would ask her what kept her going. What kept her going? She had so many reasons to stop and so many people telling her to stop. So I'd probably ask her like what was her reason to keep going.
Nat Turner. And the reason why I asked him is that when he led the rebellion, what was his thought?
What do you think he would say if you told him, you know?
He would probably be amazed.
Pleased or?
Saying that what he done helped made a difference in this world, in this country, per se.
Would he be pleased, you think?
He'll be pleased. Because because his death wouldn't have been in vain.
P.T. Barnum.
And what would you say to P.T. Barnum in particular?
Say, am I a sucker? I don't know. I would just love to hear his tales.
Does anyone today remind you of him? Current figures?
There's an orange guy.
It kind of, just because of where we are, what came to mind, or the person that came to mind was Harriet Tubman, who changed the course of history. And like the courage displayed, I think I would be very curious to have a conversation with Harriet Tubman.
And what might you say to her or ask her?
I would ask about that courage element, like what inner resources did you have to draw on, or what was it that gave you the courage to take the steps that you took?
I suppose I'd want to talk to Davy Crockett, and I'd say, Davy, as you're leaving Tennessee, I hope you realize what you're getting into. I know what you famously said when you left Tennessee, Davy. You said, you can all kiss my ass, I'm going to Texas. Now, he had been a congressman, he had been a big hero back in Tennessee. He hated Andrew Jackson, by the way, and Andrew Jackson hated him. But anyway, so he goes to Texas and he gets himself killed.
Man, at the Alamo. And you know, he made a fortune off those hats, though, from what I understand.
Probably so. I had mine. I had mine.
With a raccoon tail on it?
If it was up to me, I would have all world leaders sit at a table and I would ask them every single question that I have in mind. But I know that's not possible because I do not speak all languages.
But so, you had an interpreter. If
yes,
you had an interpreter.
Then I would ask every single question.
And you'd start with Putin?
Yeah.
Why him in particular?
He's the oldest. From what I've seen, he's the oldest, and he's been through a lot more wars, and nobody really likes to talk to him. And I feel like the person that no one wants to talk to always knows the most.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this first video, please give it a thumbs up. For more street interviews based on single compelling questions, please subscribe. And remember, in a world where you can be anything, be open